Hello and welcome. If you're new to my channel and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about ladies' shoes. Of late, I have received a number of requests to talk about bespoke ladies' shoes. And that's something I'm going to do hopefully in the near future. I'm still waiting for responses from some of the UK-based brands that I would like to talk about. But every time I receive a comment about shoes, ladies' shoes, I can't help but think ladies get such a raw deal when it comes to shoes. And comparing them to men's shoes, it's literally day and night. Typically, the quality of the leathers used is inferior. And also there's very little craftsmanship that goes into producing ladies' shoes. And this happens for a number of reasons, which I'll talk about. And I want to have this conversation with you because I think it's important as my viewers to know the dynamics at play within the luxury space. So at least you can make better informed purchasing decisions. And I'm going to end the video with recommendations of some of the better mass-focused brands for you to consider. I'm Anesu Sagonda, and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things. Whether you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, or you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality under the radar brands, then my content is geared towards you. So why are women's shoes inferior in quality to men's shoes? Well, women will typically buy considerably more pairs of shoes during the course of their lives than men. We will typically buy shoes based on trend, season, and event. You buy the pair of shoes or shoes, you wear them, and then after the event, you either discard them, give them away, or sell the shoes. We're also influenced by hormones, for example. As you age, you have medical conditions, bunions, for example. Typically your 20s and 30s, you typically will wear the higher, thinner, vertiginous heels. As you get older, 40s, 50s, 60s, for example, the heels become increasingly lower, wider for more support, they're more forgiving. You'll also find with women, we're typically a lot more influenced by moods, emotions. You're upset, you're angry. You'll indulge in a bit of retail therapy to lift your mood. Whereas with men, when I spoke to men within my reference group, whether it's family, friends, professional colleagues, they will typically buy significantly fewer pairs of shoes. Men will typically have a small handful of shoes, 5, 6, 7 pairs of shoes. 7 is even too many. And what they'll typically do is buy shoes that work with their lifestyle. So whatever event they have, whatever outfit they're going to wear, they will always have a pair of shoes available from their small collection that will work. And what I also found is that they will typically go for the very best that they can afford because they're not buying many pairs of shoes. They have a limited quantity of shoes, and therefore what they buy is the very best when it comes to the comfort, the fit, the aesthetic, and also supreme wear and tear with their shoes. I remember over 20 years ago when I started my corporate career and I was working on the trading floor. And it was around the time Christian Louboutin had started to gain traction. One week, a couple of girls were rocking the red bottom soles on the trading floor. A few weeks later, at least 3/4 of the girls on the trading floor were rocking one pair or the other of the Christian Louboutin red bottoms. I was young, impressionable, you want to fit in, and there was just so much pressure to buy the shoes and be part of the group. And I remember buying several pairs of Christian Louboutin shoes and thinking, they're not even that comfortable. Wear and tear wasn't good. The quality, I had an issue with every single pair, but there weren't that many designer brands as well as the peer pressure at that time. But what I distinctly noticed is that the traders on the trading floor didn't have the same issues. Literally all the men on the trading floor would have 1, maybe 2, and this was exceptional, pairs of shoes, which they would keep under their desk. And they'd typically come to work in their sneakers, either run or wear sneakers for comfort when they're commuting, and then wear their shoes at work day in, day out for many months at a time, And then you wouldn't see the shoes once in a while when they were getting resold, for example. And what I found, or rather learned very quickly, is they would go for the very best that they can afford, because aesthetic, the comfort, the fit, and the longevity were incredibly important to them. And that's where I started to learn about made-to-order and bespoke shoes. And at that time, there were a small handful of brands focused on made-to-order and bespoke shoes. They were offering higher level of leathers, better quality of leathers, and supreme craftsmanship when it came to the shoes that they were making. But when I looked at women, we just had mass-produced shoes. And there are loosely three ways you can produce shoes. The first, which is the mass focus for both ladies and also men, and it's shoes that are glued, and they're sometimes referred to as bonded or cemented. These are shoes that you can't repair. Once the sole has worn, for example, you cannot remove it and place a new sole. You literally have to add a replacement or whatever the repair you're doing to the sole that's already there. And what you will find is that the top part of the shoe that covers your foot, that's the upper, and then the insole where your foot sits, and then the outer sole that touches the ground, those three components are all glued together. Doesn't require much effort, and the brands typically don't use leather that's not very good quality. This next level up in terms of the craftsmanship and also price, you have your made-to-order shoes. And these are shoes where you are able to tweak certain details. It's a better cut of shoe, so it's a better fit, better comfort. And you can tweak either the stitching, get a wider option of the shoe, maybe change a lip, for example. Superficial changes you can make, but you can remove the sole completely and replace the sole. And you'll have better craftsmanship techniques. Think of, for example, Blake stitch or Goodyear welting. But I will talk about those techniques in the bespoke video. And then the top level is the bespoke. Significantly more expensive. Shoes are typically hand welted, and they are made using the highest quality leathers, supreme craftsmanship, and you end up with shoes that are absolutely superb when you consider the comfort, the fit, the aesthetic, and most of all, the wear and tear is superior. You will wear those shoes for life, and they typically are heirloom shoes. So when I started my career, there were a small handful of brands focused on made-to-order and bespoke, focused on men. They didn't produce shoes for women. It's only in the last few years they've started to incorporate women's shoes, but it's limited. Because there are women in the market who are discerning, who demanding, who want the quality. So they've realized there's the market. And there's also a very small handful of brands focused specifically on bespoke or made-to-order shoes for women. But COVID has been brutal for a lot of brands, as we all know. And I can't locate some of those brands, but there are other brands on the radar. But with women, as I mentioned, the focus is on mass-produced shoes, the cemented, glued shoes, because women have such high turnover. They're not typically keeping shoes for long periods of time, but there is the demand for better quality shoes for women like myself and viewers of this channel. And so what I'd like to do in this video is offer a very strong selection of about, I think it's 15 brands that are still mass focused, but I feel these are better brands when it comes to the quality of the leathers they're using. It's higher, the level of craft, although it's glued shoes, they do a better job of it, especially in comparison to the hugely aspirational brands dominating the space, Louis Vuitton, Christian Louboutin, you have Givenchy, you have Chanel, just to name a few. Phenomenal price tags, but that price tag doesn't equate to the quality. They are lacking in the quality that they should have for the price tag they're charging. But what they have is the phenomenal budgets to push their brands. They're visible, it's what people aspire to. But if you're somebody who doesn't care for the hype, but you want a better quality shoe for the mass market, then this is definitely the video for you. My first three brands are loosely Spanish brands. The first one is Chie Mihara. Chie Mihara shoes are made in a town in Spain called Elda. If you ever hear of a brand producing shoes in Elda, pay attention, because Elda is one of the most well-respected areas when it comes to shoe manufacturing. They have some of the best shoe manufacturers in the world. Chie Mihara, coming in at a slightly lower price point, I have recommendations across the board. Known for their signature block heel, which you will find in their sandals, their pumps, and also their boots. Pretty shoes in terms of the designs, but also they use a lot of color. Very colorful brand that works well across all age groups. My second recommendation is Manolo Blahnik. Mr. Blahnik himself is Spanish, the brand is British, and the shoes are made in Italy. When it comes to mass-produced shoes, Manolo Blahnik are producing the very best in the industry. Granted, they are glued shoes, but they're using superior quality materials, and the level of craft is superior to their competitors. They're glued very well, but with some of their shoes, I have a handful of pairs of shoes from them. I've never had any issues with any of their shoes over the years. Some are worn more than others, but I haven't had to replace any heels. There haven't been any issues with wear and tear that are not unreasonable, I would expect, with wearing their shoes. And there's a particular pair I have. This was one of my first purchases from about 15 years ago. And they have a sole, padding sewn onto the sole for added comfort. And that's just the additional craftsmanship that has gone with the shoes. But when you look at Manolo Blahnik shoes, in comparison to any others in the industry, they stand apart, head and shoulders. Superior product in terms of the look, the feel, and of course the performance. My third recommendation within this section is Carmina. Carmina is more, what I would say, professional, very similar to your male style shoes. A wide selection of your Oxfords, your Derbies, mules, loafers, for example. And some of their shoes are Goodyear welted. So the focus is very much on higher quality craftsmanship, particularly for women, and something that hasn't really featured much within this industry. My next selection of recommendations are Italian brands, and the first one is a brand I really like. I own just one pair of shoes from them, Francesco Russo, and it's their most iconic style, the caged heels. I don't wear them as much, more so as I'm getting older. I'm wearing less and less of the higher, thinner heels, but the particular heels I have are incredibly comfortable for the height. The balance is fantastic. I really like the shoes. I tend to wear them as taxi shoes. I'm driving somewhere, I'm either sitting or standing for a very short period of time. They're eye-catching shoes that I get a lot of compliments from. I like their selection of shoes. They're typically classic, but with a quirk to the shoes. Very well-made shoes that I'd highly recommend. I'm eyeing my second pair, a pair of the flats, not in black, but I'm waiting for something a little brighter. Next recommendation, two brands I've already spoken about in the past. There's Aquazzura. I like their selection of styles. They're more your south of France in terms of standout look, the little detail, the crystals, for example, where you have the clear plastic with the little diamante style details. They're great for occasions. South of France, a wedding, a party, where you want a bit of glam and glitz on your feet. And then the second style is Casadei. I particularly like their blade heels. Vertiginous, the highest that I'm aware of, but incredibly well balanced and comfortable for that height. And then my next two recommendations are from father and son duo. Unfortunately, the father died last year, Sergio Rossi. Good selection of classic styles. And then you have Gianvito Rossi. Gianvito Rossi is a brand to watch. Put it very much just a tad below Manolo Blahnik, but their shoes are very well balanced. They're comfortable, they're well made. They produce fantastic patent leather shoes. I have a couple of pairs. They haven't stretched, they've maintained their shape, the comfort of the shoes, wide selection of styles. I just don't have more pairs of shoes from this brand because the style, the pointed style doesn't necessarily work with the shape of my foot, my height and proportions, but I would never hesitate to recommend them. And I think what's really telling is the Princess of Wales. She has numerous pairs of the Gianvito Rossi shoes, more the formal court shoes. And that in itself is incredibly telling because of, firstly, the quality, the comfort of the shoes, and also the reputation of the brand. Then my final two recommendations in this section are Pellico and Marsèll. They're two brands I haven't seen as yet, and that's because I've tried every trick in the book to visit their showroom, but I'm not trade and the brands are just not playing ball, but they come highly recommended. Marsèll are opening a store at some point this year on Via della Spiga, not far from Serapia and Milano. So next time I'm in Milan, I'm definitely going to see if they've opened. I think the opening is imminent. The shoes are available online, but I'd like to see them in store, get a good selection of their numerous styles and try on different pairs. And then the second brand is Pellico, highly recommended by one of my subscribers. And they're based very close to Venice. I look forward to seeing them when I'm in Asia. And one thing that I noticed about the brand is they have heavy presence in Japan. Brands that have heavy presence in Japan, I always pay attention to, because the Japanese are some of the most discerning luxury consumers. If your brand is doing well in Japan, you have heavy retail presence, that speaks volume into the quality, the high quality of your product and the craftsmanship. My next two recommendations are French brands. The first is Roger Vivier, and I have two pairs of pumps from them. The brand is known for the color, for their use of color. They use a lot of very bright, bold, pretty colors, and of course the signature buckle on the front. I have a red pair that really bring a fairly simple outfit together very well. They just add the pop of color, and I tend to wear them with other colors, but they just bring the whole outfit together very well. And then the second pair are a pair of black flats pointed with the crystal buckle. They are shoes, every single time I have worn them, I get a compliment. They stand out, they look really pretty on your feet. And I typically wear them with something simple on top, and then all the fuss is down on my feet. They also have their signature buckle in a higher heel. That is elegant, it's elevated, it just brings a power suit together very well. The flats tend to be more fun, more playful, more whimsical. Beautifully made pumps, I would highly recommend. And I'm always looking for another pair because you can never have too many of these flats. And the second is Lanvin. Lanvin, I have bought numerous pumps from them. In the past, they have created pumps made from patent leather, but they have now introduced new style. It's slightly different. It's leather, it's a buttery soft leather, and I think it's actually better construction. From what I observed, I would actually say this is a step up, and I'm sure they've listened to feedback. The patent leathers did have issues, but I would buy them every year because they would go on sale, they were cheap, they were comfortable, and once I had to throw them out, I felt I always had my fair wear and tear from them. My next recommendation is American brand Ralph Lauren collection label, and it's two pairs, the Celia pumps and then a pair of flats that have been inspired by the Celia, the Kendra. I have the Kendra flats made from a buttery soft full grain goat skin. I like the pumps because they're pretty, they're comfortable, toe cleavage, and they work well dressed up or dressed down. You can wear them out and about for lunch or with a suit and you want something flat. Or the Celia. When I think of shoes for a power outfit, someone in the corporate space who wants to look immaculate from head to toe, the Celia is my top recommendation. The other two contenders I would have would be the BBs from Manolo Blahnik and the Gianvito 85. The cheaper of the three is the Gianvito 85 at around, I think, 535. And then you have the Manolo Blahnik 650 and then the Celias at 635. I would put the Celias above Manolo Blahnik. It pains me to say this, but the comfort, the balance, the padding, the look of the shoes is absolutely phenomenal. That is a real power shoe. If you want to bring your outfit together spectacularly well at the corporate level, then don't look any further than the Celias. And then the next brand is Swiss brand Bali. I've spoken about Bali in numerous videos. Typically your kitten heel, pretty shoes, well made, comfortable, they will last. I'm going to attach the video above where I talk about Bali. And then my final recommendation is British brand Rupert Sanderson. I have numerous pairs from Rupert Sanderson. I would recommend their pumps as well as their slingbacks. I'm not so much a fan of their sandals. I've had issues with their sandals, but their pumps and their slingbacks, I would never hesitate to recommend. That's 15 brands offering fantastic quality, variety, at varying price points. Do let me know your thoughts. Do you have any of the shoes apart from Aquazzura, Manolo Blahnik and Gianvito Rossi that are a little better known? It would be great to hear your thoughts and feedback. As always, thank you for watching and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.